This is Mount Fuji, the tallest peak in Japan. I grew up, like many people from my generation, watching Japanese animation and being well aware of the culture in Japan, of the importance that Mount Fuji or Fuji-san has for the local people, and having heard a long time ago from a friend that you can climb it, it became something I wanted to try. For a very long time, I've wanted to be there, making it a bucket list item to get a sunrise from there. You would think that it is difficult going to Japan, let alone making your way to Mount Fuji. I tried it and I am very glad that I did. From the moment you land in Tokyo, you know that you are somewhere completely different. Yes, Japan itself is completely modern, especially Tokyo. It is, after all, one of the largest metropolises of the world. Tokyo alone has more than 13 million inhabitants. If it is technological and different, you will find it here. From the streets of Akihabara, packed with tourists from all over the world, to the lights in Shinjuku, full of life every night until early in the morning, under the watchful eyes of Godzilla. This is a city that has it all when it comes to technology. But it is more than that. It is a place where the traditions of older eras of Japan still remain alive, where the temples can be visited by tourists but are still continually used by followers of the Shinto or Zen Buddhism religion. I traveled to Kawaguchiko near Fuji, and from there walked up the nearly 400 steps that lead to Chureito Pagoda. Having been built as a peace memorial, it is a scenic place from where to see a great view of Fuji, the primary reason for this trip. But not just there, in another major Japanese city, in Kyoto, a city with only about 1.5 million inhabitants, that is where the traditions and temples are the most prominent. The Golden Pavilion, considered among the most holy sites in the world, impressing many tourists yearly, that contrasted with the red gates of Fushimi Inari Taisha, which influencers and photographers just love, and the beautiful decorations of Nijo Castle. Kyoto is a place where, walking around in the right area, you might just encounter a geisha or girls in kimonos, where the shops might suddenly look like they came straight out of a Japanese cartoon or historical movie, but also a place where the temples and connection to the history of Japan remain visibly active. But that is the interesting thing about Japanese people that tourists often miss. The term connection really sums up what it is all about. In the major cities, you might see people connected to the technology of the modern world. And despite that, they still connect to one another. They still connect themselves to the traditions that have lasted for centuries. And most important of all, they do connect to nature. When you travel throughout Japan, especially in the southern region of the country such as Kumamoto and Aso, you will find castles that connect to the deep history of Japan, with remains of those who once ruled over this whole area. But you will also find nature, green fields, and water so clear that it seems like It was made out of glass. You will find trees and pathways that can be followed. In the summer, surrounded always by the sound of the cicadas, people making their way into the mountains, and you can see it. They feel a reverence and respect for nature, something that extends itself to every tree in the land. The very temples are built of the woods that grew around, built from the rocks that you see around. And it is that connection and respect for nature that makes Mount Fuji so important to the Japanese people. I came here to complete a bucket list item, but left with so much more. Making my way through Japan was one of the best experiences in my life, and I did it. I went on and decided to climb Fuji, facing the obstacles that if you decide to try it, you too will encounter. I can tell you that if you experience altitude sickness and health complications along the way, it will be a gruesome experience. But once you are there, the simple fact of being on that mountain and you get to see the sunrise, it really is a somewhat magical moment. From the moment the sun peeks through the clouds and leaves of the trees start to warm up, wherever you are on the mountain, time will seem as if it doesn't exist. It will just be you, the sun, and the beauty of it all that is Mount Fuji. You can do this. You can be here. And if it is something that interests you, I hope that in the following videos you will get a better perspective for what it takes to take your own journey to Mount Fuji and Japan.